Celestial rising, divine afternoon, and grand night to the beautiful divine mirage. Watching this mindful message. It's your divine reflection, divine messenger, and we are back with another message. And understand, if you choose to and you enjoy these videos, make sure you like, comment, subscribe for more divine messages. And shout out to JPZ for, a question. I don't have my iPad, so I just have to write it down. But basically asking in a nutshell, like, what is real? And I was writing it down just, let's see, what's the word? Excuse me. Not, no, I have it on the tip of my tongue. It was like I'm writing the word, so I'm writing what he was saying down, but I guess I was implying or minimizing, there we go, I was minimizing what he was saying in a whole. So if the world is a stage to draw all into idol worship and harvest souls, then what's real? Is anything real, or is everything a false illusion? The sun, moon, sky, religion, school, spirituality, sports, and entertainment is a whole puppet show, but people, food, nothing you see, hear, or feel is real. And, basically just his question as, just in that, what is real? And so when I understood that, because to me that was a great question, so I sat there and I thought about that before I became the observation that I'm in right now. But this is just a question that can help you get into being an observer, because the game of life literally is who can observe their life the most. Who is able to observe how they feel? Who is able to observe what isn't real? Who is able to observe the illusions that people sleep in? Who is able to observe the actions that can cause them to either have a better life or a life that isn't worth living? Who can observe what their kids are thinking or what they are thinking about, what they're teaching themselves? Who can observe what they're watching, what they're listening to, and why they're listening to it? Who can observe their thoughts? Who can observe the voice that's listening to itself through what you think you can hear from the voice in your head? So I wrote down, so I have a lot of notes as well, because I was just sitting there just thinking to myself, what key points what can they learn from as far as like what real is? Because we gotta understand as well, reality is not real to itself. And that's, to me, the one thing that many people are not really able to accept, because people are so, for one, if you can sense life, then you're not living and you're not real to yourself. Because, for example, I can feel myself being within the element of air or the spirit of the life that we live in underwater. But I realize that I've lied to myself, because it's my mind processing data that isn't even here. But that's the indicator for the transmutation of what my energy has became physical in. Because of course, if you want to talk about science, whatever the case may be as well, even like with quantum physics and just matter and just how energy has evolved throughout the delusions that we are sleeping in. For one, science is the illusion, school is the illusion, religion is the illusion, history is the illusion. What else? Geography, physics, chemistry, math, geometry, trigonometry, algebra, like all that stuff, language arts, poetry, arts, theater, even gym. All these different things that we had to go into for school, excuse me, by the way, all these things weren't real. They were basically seeing if you were going to comply to working for a less version that they didn't want to see you become better in. They didn't really want us to be better in school, so they kept us in line. They kept us being obedient, because once you started going above and beyond, once you started exceeding past your expectations, then it's like people got upset, because it's like, remember on the pacer test, let's say, because I remember back in school, elementary school, or even actually high school. In high school, when we had the pacer test, to get a good grade, you had to get like, it was 70 down and backs or whatever. So me being an athlete, I was always getting A's. And it got so bad to the point to where I would always go up against somebody who wasn't an athlete, but me and this person, we were always the last ones, to where people would get upset, because it's like, damn, all right, look, coach, they're not finna start running, so can we just go ahead and just play or whatever? And the coach just wanted to see, because that was the experiment. Because everybody else was sitting there, they stopped at like 10, it was like 10 laps or 10 down in bags or 15 or 20. But it was just a test to see who was going to endure past the limitations or the test that this obstacle was placing itself in front of through the young minds that we were once in, but we're still in that mindset, but we have evolved from that. So I put for one key point, I said consciousness is the proof that reality doesn't exist because we are watching the body. And the thing is, because we're watching the body, we gotta realize too, we are not the body. And that's the thing as well. So it's like, even with the realms of consciousness, like you have to go outside of being a seeker, the adept, you gotta go outside being a guide, go outside being a guardian, going outside being actually going outside of enlightenment, going outside of being practitioner, because you got to practice these things in order to make them function into a way that your mind is able to start emulating consistently. So once I seen that, once I seen I was on my body, I told myself I'm not the body. So it was like I was sitting in my thoughts, but I was observing my thoughts now. When I was able to see what my thoughts looked like, they had no form, they had no shape. So I asked myself, and the thing is too, I kept asking myself questions off of the camera. But of course I'm telling you on camera because I'm letting you know that whenever you're able to leave your body, because we always can leave our body. That's the thing as well with DMT, because you don't have to smoke DMT to leave your mind. Because when you understand what DMT is, your mind produces it when you go to bed. That's exactly how you're able to transition into a different consciousness, that your mind is able to now circulate into an infinite loop, that you're able to lucid dream in or astral project in. So when you go into these realms, you're able to see what you're experiencing. You're now able to experience the experience of life that's not experiencing itself. When you go outside of life, you're now able to experience the experience of life that is not able to experience itself, because life is not experiencing itself, because life is the consciousness that is observing what life never was. So life cannot be living if you're not living outside of your life. Life cannot be living if you're not living outside of your life. And if you're not living outside of life, then what are you living in to? Like, what are you living in and what are you living into? Because for one, if you're living in life, you're being delusional. If you're living into life, then you're not only just going to reincarnate into that exact loop, but now you're delusional in this trap that your mind thinks is normal. So your mind will think that what you're living in is supposed to be the main focus of your entirety. But that's exactly why your existence is not able to be articulated correctly. And what our articulation should be intelligent in, but people have lost that intelligence factor because they're too fixated on just distractions and the noise. I mean, we got planes, birds, crickets, frogs, people, music, social media. You got people just yelling on the internet, people saying certain things. You got cars, girls, you got all these different illusions that people are gravitating towards. When that becomes the main focus, when that becomes the main hotline, people pick up the phone, and then just like in the Matrix, when you pick up the phone and then it's like you can transfer your mind into that phone call on the other side of that phone. That's exactly what happens. People pick up the phone when these beings are giving them a phone call, and then they'll sit there on the line and then they'll ask themselves, who is it? Who's calling this phone? And then when you see who's calling the phone, it's your future distracting you, telling you, hey, you don't know who I am, but follow that white rabbit. And then it's just like your whole entire life, you got that message, you daydreamed about it, but you now forgot what the hell was going on, because your consciousness will give you certain voices that you can learn from if you're paying attention, but you got to be aware of consciousness, because consciousness never needed proof to become conscious. That's the whole entire point of being conscious outside of consciousness, because when you become conscious outside of consciousness, you become more unconscious to that consciousness that isn't aware of what it never could be. So every title is a programming that runs on a simulation trap so that we forget that we are observing the avatar. So everything that we identify with, everything that we follow, everything that we talk about, everything that we eat, everything that we sleep on, that's the illusion that we program ourselves to want to follow or want to love on. So even like a mom and a dad, that's a trap. Because even in Matthew 10, if you read the Bible, and I read the Bible for fun, so I'm not reading the Bible to just like sit here and be better than, you know, my past self, or even to shit or debate on somebody's opinion. No, I read the Bible because it's fun to read the spell castings that Luciferians casted upon society. And they plagued our ancestors in, they molested us, they aped us, they assaulted us, you know, killed us, slaughtered us, kidnapped us, all in the name of Jesus Christ. So when I seen that the Christ consciousness was bringing division, I realized that that was the whole point of Jesus Christ or Lucifer even coming into the physical, because physically if you came to bring a sword and not peace, then that already means that you don't know how to love yourself. Because you basically, in that Bible verse, if you go look it up, this being, and of course the text is in red, so this text implied that in our desires, in our root chakra, in our root gateway, our lower way of thinking, our lower way of existing, this being said to itself, if you honor your mother and father more than me, then you're not worthy of my presence. You're not worthy of my vibration. So I won't let you transcend. But that's the problem right there. That's what keeps people in fear. Because if you read that and you don't question what it says, or you just read it, you just say, well, damn, Jesus Christ brought a sword because I'm honoring my mother and father. And if I honor them more than Jesus Christ, and I'm not worthy of Jesus Christ. So somebody will sit there and think that, okay, if I honor them, then I won't be accepted into heaven. But that's hell. Why would you want to be in heaven when heaven is still going to be a forever extent of damnation that you think you can find peace in? If you're always singing, you're always happy, you're always working for this title, if you're always doing something and you're not able to exist, that's not heaven. That's why people's interpretation of heaven is still hell. And the thing is too, when you think about what hell is still just like heaven, because we're still suffering and we enjoy our suffering. That's exactly why people put their all or give their all to a government that doesn't care for them, because they're dependent on that vibration. The government is your future vibration that's watching you through all eyes that you can't even see, till you see the eyes that you aren't even watching yourself live in. This realm is built to stimulate meaning, so people sacrifice their awareness to illusion. Always remember, the stimulation, so even like with food, I realized that people were cannibals when I noticed how people love to digest dead flesh. When I seen that, and as I watch these movies or these documentaries, I tell myself, damn, if there really was a power outage, if there was a blackout, if there was the end of this dimension with as far as light, or whatever the case may be, we'll be able to see who the real demons are. Because once you remove fruit, vegetables, you remove light, you remove power, AC, once you remove entertainment, once you remove social media, the phones, once you remove the comfortable way of living, people cannot live out of their comfort zone. It makes them uncomfortable. Now the demons start coming out, because it's like, okay, for a while I was satisfied, I was good, I was good to go. You know, I was making sure that I was able to live life, and I was living life to the way that I was happy in. I was happy with, smoking cigarettes. I was happy drinking alcohol, drinking wine, smoking weed, doing LSD, doing crack, selling drugs. But now there's no product being moved. There's no shipment coming in. There is no money being moved. There is no entertainment anymore. There are no phones. The phones don't work. It's getting hot now. The houses are getting very humid. It's getting too uncomfortable now. There is no power to cut the stove on. The microwaves don't work. So how you gonna eat? How you gonna live for your family? That's exactly why the mind was stimulated and conditioned year after year after year, day after day after day, to not be in survival mode. Because before we had any of this that we're in right now, in this technological age that we're in, we have became spoiled to where now if they shut all this shit down, how you gonna catch your food? You don't have a bow and arrow, and the thing is, you can use your guns all you want, but you're gonna need bullets. And the thing is, you can go ahead and rob all these ammo stores if you want to, but this ain't GTA, nigga. This is GTA, but you going to rob ammo stores, it'll do you a disservice, because everybody else thought like you as well, so you'll be shit out of luck. So now it's about who has their mind over their body, who's able to observe what they're living in. I mean, how will you be able to make your own weapons? Because you can go ahead and you can make a knife or a spear. You can make all this stuff from trees. You can make it from wood chips. You can make it from anything in this world. But if you don't have a survival mentality, then you'll be consumed along with the other parasites as well. Because when the cannibals start feeding on their moms, their dads, their sisters, their dogs, their cats, their sons, you'll see that all the stories that have happened in the Bible that people haven't been able to decipher now is being prophesized from Revelations. They're revealing to you what humanity has always been. They have been cannibals the whole entire time. But that's a stimulation, because when people get rid of their awareness, they now feed into demonic illusions. I would just say low vibrational illusions. So every identity, gender, and race and religion, and a false feeling like fear, guilt, envy, these were processed into our mind to basically feed off our energy. All the feelings you have, all the identities that we follow. So even like with religion, with our race, our gender, even our age, these are false senses of living. You're not your age. You're not your height. You're not your body. You're not your name. You're not what you identify with. You're not the color of your skin. That's what keeps us divided. For us to be united or unified, we have to understand what unity even means. Unity means being divided from ignorance. And that's why the United States of America is united in ignorance. We can't be united if we're still divided by hatred. So how the hell are we the United States of America if we're still divided by the hate that we have for ourselves? And then we put it on to every other American. So it's like, you can't be focusing on the Middle Eastern's war when you got war right here in your backyard. I mean, I don't understand people, bro. I don't get that shit. People will sit here on the internet and it's like, you can make a video about something. Somebody will go into your comments going to war with you. Nigga, that's World War III, World War II, World War I. And the thing is, too, these wars don't even exist. When you remove from titles, you realize that you're going to war with God. Basically yourself. That's literally the whole entire war. And the thing is, you can't even go to war with yourself. You're going to war with your thoughts. Like, life is a thought that people will go to war with every single day, and people can't sit with those thoughts because they fear them. How do you fear yourself? Your higher self, and your higher self is at peace with itself, watching you go to war with your lower way of living. And people can't even live for a better way for themselves because they're too fixated on fighting their past. It's like we're so used to fighting our past to where it scares us to overcome what we thought we were going through from the past. And that's the problem as well. We didn't really consciously agree to this lifestyle that we're trapped in, but that's a trap right there because we consented to being trapped in this conscious cubicle that we still work in with no pay at all whatsoever. So it's like we didn't agree to being enslaved, but our compliance to titles saying mom and dad, going to school, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, going to work, we agreed to that because it was normal. And when you go against that, you're considered broke, you're considered hold on, what the fuck is going on? I was making sure nobody's breaking into my car because motherfuckers is weird. But that's the thing though, we didn't agree to this stuff, but we agreed to it. I feel like there's something like this energy just sitting right here. But anyways, and because we agreed to it, for when it was our parents and their parents and their parents' parents agreed to living a life of lies because that's all they knew. Not only just that, when the oppressor, let's say these skin shifters, when they came about through these different realms or these different portals or different Stargate mentalities, when they came into that unified, let's say, teaching of quantum theories or quantum physics, quantum mechanics, quantum enlightenment per se, when they came from those realms and descended, when they walked through those doors, they were now able to understand what the future was because they sacrificed their morals for it. And the thing is too, they had looked like nothing like us, but it was us who opened the door for lower energies that were harvesting energy in their realm to come over here and do the exact same thing. So now we let these small miniature parasites overrun our whole dimension because people aren't able to realize that we're all chosen under the same exact creator. So people have put this indication that, our people are the most divine beings of this land, which we are because everything comes from us. But you cannot sit up here and get mad about that, then diminish our history and then get mad when we start questioning the history that we were taught. That's exactly why when somebody teaches me history, I contradict it because you can't teach me things that you can't teach yourself. On top of that, history can't be taught. It can only be experienced or observed. That's why I don't believe in anything no more. Every day I question everything that I see on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, even in real life. When I hear people talk, people stop talking. Because now I ask them a question like, you actually believe that? Even kids, I talk to kids just like adults. You believe what your mom and dad taught you? Yes. That's the trap. That's the trap. You believe what your parents taught you, and that's exactly why you're under their mind control, because you believe what you hear, and you don't ever question or contradict what you were taught or what you heard. So everything we sense isn't real, and that's exactly why I say, if you're sensing something, then it's not real. Me touching this grass right now, it's not me touching this grass right now. Me drinking this water, for example, it's not real. My mind has been conditioned, and it's been programmed by other programmers or simulators to process what water can do for, you know, my database, my avatar. Because of course, if I don't have any water, I could dehydrate, I can kill myself. My thoughts will start flooding themselves, or they'll start yearning for more thirst to flow into being alive, basically. And if I can't live with this water, then what can I drink? I'm gonna kill myself at that point. Which is exactly why they made us dependent on a stimulating mentality or the stimulation of ignorance. Ignorance keeps us thirsty. Ignorance keeps us hungry. Ignorance keeps us wanting more, basically. Ignorance keeps us tired or awake. Ignorance keeps us feeling better. Ignorance keeps us sad. Ignorance keeps us entertained. Ignorance keeps us bored. Ignorance keeps us feeling a certain way of a state of being that we think we're thinking at. But when you exist outside of reality, you realize that reality is under their own psychosis. And then when you are aware of that, they'll put that onto you. So because our senses aren't real, they are designed by a simulator, and it's just data being processed by the mind, because our mind is a computer. So we are in a motherboard right now, and they call it a motherboard because they put your mom, unfolded the board, or this black cube of Saturn, which is basically the cross. They put our mom on this cross and controlled her mind, computerized it to where now she's stuck in artificial intelligence. And then your dad watched it happen because he wasn't being man enough to sacrifice himself for you. And then because of that, he walked away from his divine feminine choices that wanted to be better for her masculinity. Because he walked away from that, now you're going to have to pick up the sacrifice that your mom and dad made for a lesser way of you to experience a better life for your way of living for today. That's exactly why, too, the mind is a translator inside the illusion that the mind made. Our mind translates the illusions, but the illusion is not the mind. So the mind is not the voice, but the translator of your thoughts is the voice that you think you're thinking in. But the mind is not thinking at all whatsoever. You think for the mind doesn't think for you. The mind is not you, but you are observing the mind within you. That's a trap as well. The mind has trapped us to think that what we're living in right now is supposed to be real. But if you ask the mind what is real, if the mind gives you an answer, it lied to you. So you have to even go against your mind, because your mind is your own worst enemy. That's exactly why you have to guide it like a child, because once you guide the mind starts working for you. I guided my mind to basically get upset when we don't make videos. So basically my mind has no choice but to start working on being better, because I control my mind. So when you see me talking, when you see me thinking or processing just thoughts, that's me observing the data that I'm basically watching flow in an infinite realm of quantum overlapping for numerical values that gematria has scripted for me to say. So I'm basically watching and indicating what message I want to pick out from the realm of thought. And the realm of thought goes above the skies that we are not able to see. If they rip the sky open, we'll be able to see our thoughts out loud, to where now we kill ourselves. And the beings up there who control this maneuvering of what the sky looks like, which isn't real, but when you're able to see how the sky is not real, you'll not be able to disguise your thoughts above reality. So if you go on flights, for example, every time I go on a plane, I look above the clouds and I see that Lucifer's thoughts, because the god of the sky or the air is Lucifer. Once you go above the air of Lucifer, you're now able to flow above the spirit of air or water. So we're basically fish underwater, and we don't have any gills, we don't have any fins, but we're walking and talking and we're running, and we're basically living as if we are fish underwater. But if you ask a fish, do you know that you're underwater? The fish would even answer you. So does a fish know that it's underwater, or is the fish just existing in what it thinks air is or life is? Because when the fish goes above water, it's going to start gasping for air, and then it'll drown or kill itself in the process. So now when we go underwater, now we drown. we're gasping for air. So you see how that polarity or that duality doesn't exist or doesn't make sense? But now if you're a hybrid being and you come from water, you are able to train yourself to breathe underwater and live underwater as well. But that comes with conditioning the mind by getting away from what reality has taught us to become normal in. So we're like SpongeBob basically. Life is Bikini Bottom. So you know how SpongeBob and Patrick, they need that bowl over their head when they go into Sandy's dome or whatever. And it's clear as day too, it's evident. They're showing you that Sandy lives in a dome underwater. A squirrel underwater, by the way. So because she has a spacesuit on, she's telling you that she can't even breathe with the surface dwellers that exist underwater. So because they're walking and talking, that's basically like, they know that they're underwater, but they don't see it as underwater. They just see it as that's just life. They even made fire underwater, and we do the exact same thing. It's no different. So when you're able to see these certain things, you realize that our mind can translate illusions to make them real. So it's like if I punch you in your face, it's gonna hurt. But that's because your mind translated a signal for you to think that, damn, that shit hurt. But the whole entire time you're hurting yourself through me punching on you. But me punching on you does nothing for me but hurt myself in the process. So if I punch you and you get hurt or I kill you for that, I just killed myself. Because why? I gotta pay for that consequence. If you kill me, you punch me or you shoot me, you shot yourself through me. So you gotta pay for that times 10. So it does nothing for us to even harm each other. That's a trap right there. We make it seem as if when people talk bad about us, when they harm us, when they argue with us, when they go against us, when they're envious of us, when they hate on us, whatever the case, it's like we think that we have to retaliate with our ego. No, the ego wants you to go against what they're saying, debate with them, argue with them, fight them, kill them. That's the trap. Your mind was taught that, you fight fire with fire. No, that causes more fucking fire. But I will say this though, don't let anybody talk to you any kind of way or put their hands on you. And the thing is too, if you're gonna cause more fire, you better know how to put it out. You better know how to put it out, because if you don't, you're gonna now cause an ecosystem burning up and an infinite flame that can't be put out. Because you put a match, you cut the match on, and then you just threw it on the fire. And then you watched it grow. And when the fire keeps growing and growing, now in your element, you gotta have more power to put the fire out when you made that choice to cause more harm to somebody who was already burning within. To them, their hell is basically them fighting themselves. And they wanted you to feel what they're feeling. That's all fighting is anyways. People who wanna go up against you, people who wanna argue with you, degrade you, put you down, they're going to war with themselves. That's their hell. And that is that's what makes it heaven for them. It makes it heaven because when they see that they're going up against their suffering, they want you to suffer with them. So when they see you existing in positivity, when you're radiating at a calm vibration, they hate that. Why are you existing at a certain energy that I've never seen before? I refuse. So they're gonna sit there and push you or shove you. Watch where you're going. Nigga, you bumped into me talking about some watch out where you going. I'm not finna do this shit with you today, bro. I don't know who you are, but stop, bro. That's why I say to people who know what they're doing, I look them dead in their eyes and I say, bro, stop. It's not gonna work. I know what you're doing. I see right through this shit. It's not gonna work. Go on somewhere with that energy because it does nothing for me. And the thing is, so they'll be like, you notice me. That's all it is. It's the hatred people have mentally for not being noticed within themselves. People can't notice their observation, and that scares them. So when you notice them outside their observation, they now question who you are and who they confronted. Because it's like, something about you that's defending you right now. I wanted to hurt you, but me hurting you doesn't even sit right with me. So now they question even wanting to cause harm amongst you because you're already protected. Because you protected your mind from even wanting to go to war with itself, with the thoughts that you never had. Reality is the observer, and awareness can see lies being exposed. When you realize that the observer observing reality is reality, you start leaving reality alone. And you just watch it. You just watch it unfold. You watch lies come to life. That's all life is. Life is basically a lie playing a role. Life is lies playing a role, and it's acting out the script that it was basically dreaming in. So we're all dreamers acting out a certain vibration that we can't keep up with. And that's what kills us. It kills us to play a role that we still hold on to so dearly. It's like having acting classes or theater in school. You're playing this role that the teacher told you to, Play out. And when you play out this role, you can be so efficient in it. You can be so great at it. And people will adore you, clap for you, and all that. And then they'll cry for you. They'll say, you should get into Broadway, you should get into acting, not knowing that you getting into these industries is the lie. That's a trap. The deeper you go into wanting to be heard or wanting to be, let's say, sought out in life, that's what keeps you stuck in their illusion. You're being stimulated by constant dopamine because people are feeding you lies that you believe. Don't believe them. That's exactly why being put on a pedestal is exactly what will keep you stuck in a simulation. That's exactly why you can't see people as above you or better than you. Nobody's better than me. Nobody's better than you. So if somebody says, so who's the best NBA player to you? None of them. I'm better than them. And you'll be like, this nigga's crazy. I may be. But I'd rather say that than have me saying somebody in the NBA is better than me is just a lie. It's a fallacy. Because you can outscore me all you want, but I won the war because you still played me. You're an NBA player and you're wasting your time playing me. I won. Even if I lost, I still won because I got your attention. You stepped out of your comfort zone to watch me play against you, and I gave you a challenge. You broke a sweat. So who's really in the NBA? Who's really playing basketball when it's just a game? That's basically a cultic in their mind. And they put in the work and the time for that, so it will be challenging for sure. But you got to realize that they're not better than you. They just put in more work than you. Who is the one listening to the voice in your head? It can't be described or seen, only remembered, and that's the game of life. Can you remember that voice in your head and what it's saying to you? Because remember, as I'm talking right now, the only time I can hear that voice is when I sit there in silence. But then as I keep talking, I remember what I always remembered. Nothing. I don't know shit. But now I'm lying to you. So by me observing those thoughts before I make a video, that's me remembering what I was thinking about before I made the video. So now when I make the video, I stop overthinking. I'm a big overthinker. So before I make a video, I always go against my thoughts till I hit record. When I hit record, it's open season now. It's like everything that I thought about that I was afraid to say, I'm already saying it. So it's like I play games with myself as well because it makes me practice humility. It makes me know that I'm just like you. And I can't be better than you just because my thoughts sound different from yours. No, I choose to think differently. I don't want to be normal. I don't want to be average. I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't want to be like people who walk in the same exact vicinity or the same exact environment, or people who walk on the same exact trail. No, I want to go to the side, so while everybody is focusing on this one person right here, I want to go on this side of life, and I just want to make my own videos. I just want to live my own life. I don't want to be where everybody else is, because that to me that's hell. That's the plague right there. That's the virus. That's the hive mind. I don't want to be with the hive mind. I want to be in my own mindset to where now I can watch what they're doing and stay far away from them and learn from them to tell you what you could be if you choose to be like that. But if you be like yourself and you go on this side of the railroad tracks, you can't, there is no detriment in your life because you're doing something to help you become a better you. And then lastly, illusions are a constant loop in a script made by energy, fearing the days we rise up from so we can observe overreacting. Understand, this script of illusions was made by programmings that fear us rising up into seeing what they always been doing. They made illusions so that we can react to them. That's the spell right there, by the way. When you awaken into not reacting, you win the game. The game is won by remembering your observation. It's a trap. It's a trap to even go into a room and debate with somebody who can't think like you. They can only bring you down because their whole life is ordained into learning something to go against your thoughts. When you stop going against people, debates are pointless. To win a debate, question what they're saying, question what they know. For example, for me to win a argument or a debate, I'm gonna let the person go first, right? So I already won the war or whatever, or a topic. I'm gonna say, I don't know anything about this topic, so you go ahead and teach me. When they say something, I'm gonna question them, make them mad. When I make them mad, now they're teaching me. And then when they teach me, and the thing is too, I learn very fast. So when they teach me, I'm gonna remember what they said, make them contradict it to where they can't contradict it. And so now they'll look stupid in their emotions that have been stimulated by the illusion that they're holding on to, because energies will fear, because only parasites debate, but energy will fear you questioning what they were taught and what they believe to get away with, because they got away with these certain teachings that people were lusting after. People said, oh, I desire what he or she's talking about. It sounds so It sounds amazing. It just sounds intriguing to me because can't nobody else top what they're saying, so I'm gonna follow them. But then when you meet them in person and then you question what they've been saying for throughout the years, they'll be like, yo, you wanna fight, bro? What's your problem? Whoa, we're just having a civil conversation. Why are you getting upset about thoughts or opinions that don't come from you? You're relying on your truth that you're lying to me about. So because I confronted your lies that you found no truth in, you want to get mad because you can't find your truth that you've been telling everybody else and they believe your truth that you still lying? So how can you lose? When the energies that are losing you never lost you. All you're doing is rising up with what you thought you lost, and that was your observation. Life is the observation that is not living in the proof that it thinks is proving. You can't prove that life is real. So when you're living outside of life, you'll know that for one, the reality of life cannot be defined, it can't be lived, it can't be seen, it can't be thought about, it can't be touched, it can't be sensed, it can't be seen with what we think we are seeing. To live reality, you have to observe what reality cannot be real in. Because what is real to reality? When reality does not know how real it never was. When I keep saying that in the past videos as well, this video is meant for today. Everything I said in this video came from you and I, but that's the lie as well, because we cannot think about thoughts that never came from us. They're projected from higher illuminescent beings that cannot be touched. They can only be shown when we are observing ourselves sleeping in or dreaming in. Life is a dream that became physical, and the physicality of life is the lie that we found truth in. And to find truth, you sit in silence and then you observe all the ignorance that's making noise that cannot sit there and tell itself, if I stop making noise, if I stop becoming ignorant, what should I observe? What can I become conscious in? When you stop being ignorant in sound or noise, you vibrate beyond what silence always had truth in. Because silence does not have the truth. And because what is the truth when you become silent? When you become silent, you now get to hear the voice of God. And the thing is too, God has no voice. So what voice is that in your head when it wouldn't be considered God? That's the processing of the mind that goes outside of the high mind that would be called God. So there is a source that you can hear, but only a conscious being can hear what they're walking in. And that's by choosing to do righteous actions that can cause you to be a better vibration for you to transcend into. All life is you transcending into your higher observation. There is nowhere to go. There is no realm to go into. All you're doing, you are being the energy. You are omnipresent. You are energy everywhere. You are spirit everywhere. So I can be in your room right now in your mind, and I'm not even in your room in your mind. But you're thinking about me somehow, some way. How's that possible? We are all thought forms. We are all processes of demonic vibrations, or carbon, let's say carbon skins that had decided to play the role that, once again, we have been pushed into following. Stop following life, because you will go off that cliff and you'll reincarnate right back into that same exact cycle that you went to escape from. And if you can't escape from your tendencies, if you can't escape from the illusions that you made love to, then you can't make love to a better version of yourself. Have a great and divine day, divine reflection.